Thank you. If the KFGO table can be a little quiet over here.
Sorry. We're talk show hosts.
Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. Thursday night at Bar 9, and I want to thank Bar 9 for allowing us to come here, give a trigger away. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. They are busting tail here. Standing room only, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So what's about to happen right now, you've all come and registered. Eric Johnson is diligently spinning this golden drum. And I do mean very diligently. And in a moment I'm gonna read a name, and that name needs to be present to win. And if your name's called, I want you to yell very loudly and then come get your tray. All right, you ready?
Do it.
For those of you that can't see, well, my hand is now going into the golden drum. I have pulled one name.
Courtney? Yep.
Courtney. Yeah, you can hear a pin drop. That's great. Courtney Lavonda. Courtney, get on up here. Courtney, there you are. Congratulations. I don't have to worry about rating. All right. Hey.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
You know, you can go through a whole body of work.
Singing,
where with Marilyn,
gospel music, war, anything.
With Marilyn, within 5 minutes, you're going to be talking about her personal life with her.
Right, because
that makes it uncomfortable.
So how was JFK?
I don't know what it's right now. Yeah. I don't know what it's like to be you, and I don't know what it's like to be either one. You can't. I don't know. Great question, Mr. President. By the way, happy birthday to Gustav Eiffel.
Oh, Gustav.
Born on this date, 1832.
I told you we got to get him something, Abby.
Gustav Eiffel.
Anybody named Gustav gets a present from us.
You might be familiar with the Eiffel Tower.
Yep.
And he had a little hand in designing the Statue of Liberty.
What is the other piece? You've been speaking French all morning. I listened to you.
I have.
What is the other piece of new, more modern artwork next to the Eiffel Tower or in that area? It's shaped like a glass pyramid. It's like a glass pyramid. What's that called?
Oh, I thought you were maybe the Arc.
The old traditional. The old traditional French hate that place.
The Louvre.
Because if you look, okay, how do I best explain this? Tom Hanks in the movie
French Kiss? Oh, that was Meg Ryan.
Tom Hanks was like this claustrophobic kid. No, he's claustrophobic. He got caught in a well.
Oh, yeah.
You know the movie I'm talking about? He's like...
Did he fall in a well? How did he get caught in a well?
He's a little kid. He gets in a well. He gets claustrophobic. He has to paddle. He doesn't get out of there. So he gets claustrophobic. He gets in elevators. No, it's not.
Is he stuck in an airport?
Apparently, he's a child.
Is he stuck in an airport? Is it the one he's stuck in an airport?
No, this is the one where.
Wait, how does this movie help us get the answer?
Because the movie takes place in France, and it ends with. I'm willing to. It ends with her potentially being Christ herself.
Oh,
what?
Something.
Was it the Da Vinci? No, he's
the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
The Da Vinci Code.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yes.
You started that, Jack.
But the part
Is
of
he
the
a
movie,
kid?
part of the movie takes place in that incredible building.
So we still don't know the name of this glass.
That's why I'm looking for help from people.
The
3,
Sistine
5,
Chapels,
2,
is he in Rome?
7, 0. It's in France.
I didn't watch that movie, just on religious principles. I didn't watch that.
Next to the Eiffel Tower.
Okay, well, that comes in college basketball last night.
3-point shots.
Yes,
to Norman, fire another 3 away, and he keeps knocking them down. 4 threes for the new Fighting Hawks.
They hit 17 threes yesterday, Joel. Did UND men? They beat North Central University handily. The women in action tonight. Speaking of being on the road, I'll be on the northern end of the valley, Joel. Hopefully not slipping and sliding on the way back. But 17 threes they hit last night. Speaking of threes, Steph Curry.
Wiggins comes across, working on Fournier. Up top to Curry. Quick release and splash! There it is! The best shooter the game has ever seen.
You want to know how many? That was his 2,974th.
Okay, he's amazing.
He's just the best shooter. He's so pure.
He's a really good guy too.
Oh yeah, he.
Last night he said at the press conference that he's now the greatest shooter ever in the NBA. Yeah. He's the only guy I know that can get away with that without seeming as though he's cocky.
No, and he works on his craft. My friend Eric, a dear friend of mine, old colleague, Eric Collins, does the play-by-play for Charlotte. His color commentator is Del Curry, Steph's dad, and Eric and I talk a lot about how if people only knew how much Steph shot. I mean, just patented his shot from different angles, from different stuff, and it's always a topic of conversation. High school basketball yesterday, Shanley over North. Davies, Joel, beat Valley City 104-46. Boy, Davies. Mason Claybill poured in 22. Good young talent. South defeats Red River. Park Christian over Climax Fisher on the girls' side. North defeats Shanley. Davies over Valley City. Oh, by the way, and West Fargo over Cheyenne. Park Christian beat Climax Fisher. I found some old Paul Blubarski when he did play-by-play. I've got some Matador cuts here in a second. High school boys hockey. Davies over Cheyenne. It was a Miller Heitkamp 1-on-1 make-or-take-it tournament. Red River defeats West Fargo 5-2. South Shanley boys over Grafton Park River. Moorhead Spud girls beat Roseau. A little rivalry there, 4-1. Davies girls over Devils Lake and West Fargo United over North South. All-America teams now showing the FCS. Bison placed 8. Count them. Hunter Lipke, Christian Watson, Cordell Volson, Michael Tutsi on the first team. Tight end Noah Gindorf, left tackle Cody Mauk
from Matador, North Dakota.
Ladies, yes and gentlemen. Defensive end Braden Thomas named to the third team, and then Eli Mostert was named to the sophomore All-America team. UND offensive lineman Matt Biletsko also named to that list. Of course, the Bison in action on Friday night against James Madison. Yeah,
Cody is the only one from Matador that's got a wider gap in his front teeth than me.
You know what else he
does? You got him knocked out.
You know what else he does? He produces wide gaps for people to run through. See what I did right there?
He is fun to watch. He started out as a tight end.
Yeah. Good athlete. I found these old tapes of Blubarski's play-by-play. He didn't only do traffic, but he was calling an Abby Miller, Joel Heitkamp make it, take it. If you make it, you get the ball back.
Are you scared, Abby? Because I'm scared.
I think I remember
found
that.
some vintage. It was in
It's Miller versus Heitkamp. It's the Make It, Take It tournament coming to you live from Matador in the barn. Abby Miller will start the ball first as she checks it into Heitkamp. Here's Abby Miller spinning around the elbow. Twist inside, up and under move, makes it in good for 2. Oh, Abby Miller, she can make those Chuck Taylors dance. It's Make It, Take It, so Abby will get it again. Checks in. Her shot blocked by Heitkamp. He's got the vertical of a stapler. Now Heitkamp will take the ball, rocking back and forth he rocks back and forth, he's rocking and knocking and rocking. Heitkamp now going to spin and roll. He's rolling, he's rocking, he's rolling, he's spinning and knocking and rolling, and he's spinning, and Andy Miller just gave up. Heitkamp makes the basket. All right, check back in later. We've got the one-on-one national championship going on at the Matador Barn. It's Miller 1, Heitkamp 1.
So that's an ongoing game. One-on-one, and it's 1-1. Hopefully
it's like that one in the Big Bang Theory where nobody could score, remember?
It's 1-1. I only found portions of that tournament. Hopefully in months to come we'll find more.
That Blubarski's getting to be, he's getting to be like a known sports broadcaster.
Yeah, it's why he's terrible at road reports. Yeah. Turns out because he's an old sports guy. He's not really. We put him into a traffic role.
The Louvre Pyramid. Thank you, folks. Well, thank you.
Abby, did I not say the Louvre my second throw?
You didn't say pyramid.
Well,
but there's a Louvre other than the pyramid.
Okay. Yeah, the loop, the pyramid, the glass pyramid.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the glass.
But, okay. I'm doing some digging. This ain't over yet. I'm just telling you.
I should have texted my girls. They just got back from pyramid.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've seen it, but I couldn't remember. Never mind. Come in here, Bones.
Hey.
You can pick on me in here. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Why do I like ice fishing so much?
This is where all the beautiful art is, right? And then next to it, they built this pyramid. It's beautiful modern design that never should have been next to the Louvre. That was my point.
No, I don't disagree. I think that there's some objects that
right.
You know what else?
It's like building a carnival right in the middle of the Washington Mall. You don't do that. You just don't.
I'd go to it.
The first 10 amendments to the Constitution went into effect on this date.
Really?
In 1791.
You know, it's a living document. It's supposed to have
There's your
amendments. It is. It's
the Bill of
supposed
Rights.
to. Right. Exactly. I
don't, you know what? And to be honest with you, I can't reel off all 10. I should. I've memorized them back, but I can't.
I can't.
It gets a little, obviously the freedom of religion of speech and bear arms, all that. But I start getting down and it starts getting into like, you can't, quarter a soldier, keep, how, it just gets into a lot of.
There's certain ones like the Second Amendment, you tie to guns, right? And it's militia and it actually involves a posse. That's one of the reasons. But yeah.
I mean, it was written. I mean, look at the day, obviously it was written.
Right.
So, I mean,
it's a living document.
Pertains to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Stick around. More in-depth art coming your way.
News and weather brought to you by Muscatel Pre-Owned. Lower that car payment with Muscatel. Muscatel, built on trust.
At 8:30, we have fog, 37 degrees. I'm Don Haney, News Radio KFGO. We do have a dense fog advisory in effect until noon. If you haven't been out taking a look, you know it. There is some pretty dense fog out there. It's moved in this morning into the metro area and around the area since early this morning. Weather advisory takes effect at 7 this evening until 8 tomorrow morning. Unprecedented the weather, according to Chief Meteorologist Tom Szymanski, as we're talking about some of the storm system that will develop into parts of the Midwest, not in our immediate area, but nonetheless we will get some snow and some mixed precipitation by late tonight into early tomorrow. That likely will make some travel difficulties. The State Patrol has released an image of a distinctive tattoo as it tries to identify a man who was struck by a car in South Fargo. It happened at the intersection of 13th Avenue and 25th Street Monday night. Captain Brian Newman says the man was hit as he was crossing in a crosswalk on 25th Street. The driver of the car had a green light. The victim was seriously injured. He's a Native American, between 35 and 40 years old, 5'10 to 6'2", and weighs 200 to 240 pounds. Anyone who may be able to identify him should call the state radio communications site in Bismarck at 701-328-9921 and ask to talk with a trooper in the Fargo Patrol District. That number again is 701-328-9921. Second Canadian man is going to federal prison for transporting 67 illegal guns in western Minnesota. 37-year-old Muzamil Adan Adao pleaded guilty to aiding and abetting unlawful possession of firearms and was sentenced yesterday in Minneapolis to more than 5.5 years. Adao and 29-year-old Dane Citylene were pulled over going nearly 100 miles an hour in January, I-94 near Fergus Falls. State troopers smelled marijuana in their vehicle, and a search turned up the guns and 15 high-capacity magazine. Citylene was sentenced to 6.5 years in federal prison last week. He also is wanted for first-degree murder in Ontario. 8:32 with Fog 37. This is KFGO News.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
This is KFGO News. Prosecutors nearing the end of their case against a suburban Minneapolis police officer charged in Dante Wright's death drew a testimony yesterday from their former colleagues to portray an officer whose intended use of a taser would have violated department policy despite extensive training. Brooklyn Center Police Commander Garrett Flesland testified that Kim Porter, who resigned 2 days after she shot Wright, should have been familiar with policies even as they evolved during her 26-year career, that she repeatedly signed documents acknowledging those rules. The testimony came during the second week of Potter's manslaughter trial. The defense has called the shooting a horrific mistake. Prosecutors have said Potter was experienced and trained to know better. Later this morning, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is expected to plead guilty to violating George Floyd's civil rights. The change of plea hearing scheduled in U.S. District Court in St. Paul, but details of a plea agreement have not yet been made public. Chauvin is charged with 2 counts of depriving Floyd of his rights during the May 2020 arrest that resulted in Floyd's death. Chauvin, who's white, has already been convicted in state court of murder and manslaughter charges for pinning his knee on Floyd's neck. As Floyd said he couldn't breathe, Chauvin is serving a 22.5-year sentence on the state charges. He faces 2 more federal counts in an unrelated case involving the restraint of a black teen that dates back to 2017. The West Fargo Police Department has received an anonymous $15,000 donation to support its K-9 division. The donation is going to help purchase another dog in the future to replace current K-9s when they retire. West Fargo has 3 K-9s and handlers. The 3 K-9s were deployed 220 times last year. KFGO Weather Center forecast. It is powered by Acme Tools. Stand up to the threat of power outages with a new Generac home or portable generator from Acme Tools and do your best work. Weather packet, it could be fairly strong, talking about all the stuff that's going to be happening here. We're getting some changes in our weather again. It was kind of neat. I noticed yesterday snow was melting at a pretty good pace. I saw grass in our yard, and I think that's going to change again.
Yeah, I think so. I think the grass will be covered up by a little more snow coming up and sharply colder temperatures. So the snow melt once we get through today, we'll be over. The weather is brought to you by Adine Family Dentistry and Highway 10 in Dilworth, now accepting new patients. Stop in to meet Dr. Adine, Dr. Muscatel, and the team to regain or maintain that beautiful smile. Visit AdineFamilyDentistry.com. So, yeah, we do have a dense foggery now.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to.
No longer Marilyn Monroe, even in the race.
Well, I would love to have girl talk with Marilyn Monroe, but
girl.
But I could not pass up Elvis. My mom would kill me.
The Marilyn Monroe is a sad story, really.
Yeah, it really is.
It is a sad story. I had a friend that.
Is Elvis better?
That's. I'm 2 degrees separated from Elvis Presley.
What?
Maybe 3.
Just because you were in Donna's Diner yesterday where the cardboard cutout was?
My relative, we talked about this, my relative Shalane McCall, who's...
Wasn't she in something with Priscilla?
She was in Dallas. She's an actress. She was in Dallas. She was Priscilla Presley's daughter in Dallas.
Right.
So Priscilla married Elvis. So
I forgot Priscilla was in Dallas.
You're basically the son of Elvis.
I am 2 degrees from Elvis Presley.
And how far from Kevin Bacon?
Well, that's where this all stems from, the 6 degrees. Well, Joel, with you, it would be amazing. That's what we should do, Abby, because Joel, being political, of course, Heidi and you've been trips and press palms with leaders and been to Cuba and all. You've just been around. Mm-hmm. Who's the unique person that we could tie Joel 2 degrees from? Because you've just been. That's the game, right?
Right.
how vast?
There's an episode of The Office where they do that.
Is there?
Yeah.
I remember Maury on a broadcast
yeah.
one time. We were doing baseball. Degrees from Sandy Koufax, and Maury's like, I don't know what that means, Jack. I said, well, it's a game. It's a game that Kevin Bacon has been in so many movies that the entire, is just separate. I said, so the theory is that the entire world, you are 6 degrees away from everybody in the entire world.
Yeah.
Here's the pitch. Here's strike call. 3-2. I still don't get it, Jack. I said, well, so I dropped him. I said, well, take, for instance, Maury, through you, I'm 3 degrees away from the Ayatollah Khomeini. There's the pitch on the way.
You said that on air?
I said it on air. And he goes, Jack, wait, hey. So we start getting into this 6 degrees game. He goes, Jack, explain that to me again. And I said, well, you were on Nancy Reagan's drug, just say task force and all that kind of stuff. And through Nancy, through Ron, through the Khomeini he had this time. Through that step, I'm like 4 degrees from, because I'm with. So we broke it all down during an entire.
Certainly Gorbachev. It's Gorbachev.
Easily Gorbachev. Right. So that's the key. You find one person, and to you, Joel, I can only Katie bar the door, who you're like 2 degrees away from.
I have been as close as you to every president from Clinton on.
So
I wasn't around George H.W. Bush.
Yeah,
but everyone after that, and I spoke to, including Donald Trump, everyone.
I don't know the exact rules, or maybe Abby does. So obviously you don't have to be related to somebody and then they are friends with or roomed with. It's not that type. That's not the game, right?
I don't know that I have any. I need to think on this.
What are the rules of the 6 degrees game? That's what
would be more important than what I just described in my life are all the sports figures.
That's
because to me, I value that more.
But I sit up night and think of the strangest thing, like you're 2 degrees from, and just think of the weirdest, wildest thing you can think of.
I follow on Twitter, and I just think is one met him. I've met Carl Eller. I've met Jim Marshall.
But you are still degrees away because you've been in company, in concert with.
Yep.
Do this for me, Joel. How many degrees away are you from Winston Churchill?
Oh boy,
can you make the connection?
Well, I guess you'd have to ask yourself whether or not. Let me do this.
Look at his
Here we go. You ready?
He's got it.
He's going.
Okay, so I've met and talked to and had a conversation with Ted Kennedy.
So Ted Kennedy.
Ted Kennedy. He obviously, knew his brother, John Kennedy,
who
was with the Queen.
John Kennedy knew quite well Harry Truman.
Oh.
Harry Truman.
And when his conference and summits.
He was with Winston Churchill many times.
Joel's 4 degrees from Winston Churchill.
And I wouldn't be shocked if John F. Kennedy had coffee or tea with Winston Churchill.
See that?
So then I'd be 5 because I know Joel.
Actually, that's true. That is true. When John F. Kennedy went to meet the Queen of England, Winston Churchill was there. Boom.
Here's a game.
That's what? Ted Kennedy, John Kennedy, Winston
Churchill. You're 3 degrees. Play this game during the holidays around your table. Or not,
Or play something better.
Here's something you can do during the holidays. Tonight, all the KFGO folks that can make it. You got the people from this show. You got It Takes Two. You got Afternoons Live. And so all of us, including Rusty Halverson, his lovely wife,
Rusty,
we're going to get in my motorhome out there.
What are you dropping?
What?
Those are our turkey calls.
Oh, let me hear your turkey call.
That's not a turkey. A turkey's
that's a crow.
Gobble,
we need Dan
Are you
Michaels.
dropping these or just serving them?
We're going to drive around town.
Throwing.
We're going to. Would you hang in there? We're going to drive around town in my motorhome and look for homes that they really put a lot of work into their lights.
Yes.
And hopefully,
and we're going to pull up in that motorhome and we're going to file off of that with these KFGO personalities and give them a turkey. And thank you to Barnesville Grocery for donating these turkeys. These wonderful people in Barnesville. And so
right now people are just running out to their houses.
If you have an idea, please feel free to text 35270. I'm not saying we'll make it to every house, but I'm saying if you have an idea, and I would like to drop off turkey where we can. So I think we got like 10 of them we're giving away, right, Ab?
Yeah.
Nice.
And none of them are going to you because you're mean to me, right?
Well, we don't have lights.
Do you and Gwen even have a tree up?
Yeah, the inside of our home is beautifully decorated
with skunk spiders.
The The outside
I was
is
so going there.
the outside is not decorated because neither of us wanted to attempt putting up Christmas lights outside.
All right.
Joel,
But the
Bill
inside
Gates.
looks great.
How many degrees from Bill
No,
Gates
we're
do you
taking
think
a
you
break.
Are? Oh, we are?
Well, Joe Biden's met Bill Gates.
So you're 2 degrees.
Yeah,
that was
okay.
nothing. That was nothing.
Barack
Not to
Obama,
brag.
Bill Gates, like this. All right, stick around. More coming your way. We're going to Lindenwood right after
Yep.
this. All right,
John
let's
Wayne?
do it. Right
John
up.
Wayne?
John Wayne.
Are you John Wayne?
John Wayne was friends with.
you're
he
like
was
3
active in the
degrees.
Republican Party.
Do I just break and cut you off?
I
or-
met Milt Young. Milt Young. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know. To me, it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Robertson here with another Don News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah.
And truth be told, I haven't yet, but I've got it on. I'm going to. We're going to go through there. I take the grandkids through there every year, and absolutely gorgeous. And what they do. First off, I want to point out these wonderful people, and one of the individuals we're about to talk to believe in the Christmas wish, and Dan Michaels just received a huge check from these folks because they're so good. The FM Sartoma Club are so good at putting money out there to help people during the holiday season. Daryl's the boss when it comes to all this. He's the treasure, and I get a chance to visit with him. Daryl Vosvik, good to have you on News and Views, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Talk to me about it. I've heard this is, if not your best year, certainly one of the best years.
Yeah, every year we keep saying it's brighter and better, but it literally is. We've added at least 25 new displayers this year. We've extended a lot of the displays up at the front end, and even started a little bit further into the park and tried to squeeze every spare spot we have in. So it's been pretty exciting to see it happen, and it's nice and bright.
Well, the times I go, here's the things I think of. How do you get it all in there? Because Daryl, it takes a while to get through it, which is the good part for me. It isn't like, oh, okay, that was quick kind of a thing. You get to see people's artwork and the message they're putting out there in the spirit of this great season. How do you fit them all in there? Because if it's, you must be growing even, Daryl.
Yeah, we are. And it's with the advent of LED lights, it allowed us to add a lot more displays and not blow up our electrical system. But that's been kind of one of our points of contention this year. They put the new road in at the park, and when that happened, we have to do new electrical work down there. And then we're trying to make it a little bit easier as our members get older. So to redo that's going to be over $100,000.
Holy cow! That
we're trying to raise. So we are had to raise our prices up to $10 this year for a car and $15 the lemos. But just to help us try to figure out how to get that all done. So, and then on top of that, when we went to open up on Thanksgiving Day, the night before that, someone stole 5 of our big electrical cords that are strung in the park.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah, it's been a year to remember this year.
Oh, man. Who would, there's got to be a special place in a very warm spot for an individual like that. Who does that?
Right. I don't know about, right.
My place would be warm and south, Daryl, is where I'd be sending him. But, who does something like that? What's the bill for the power by the end of the year, Daryl?
Well, it's kind of amazing. We used to spend about $1,200, and with the LED lights coming on, it's only been about $700.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, so it's really helped us tremendously.
I notice it. I notice it at my house. I do. I notice it because December is like the bill, because I put up a lot of lights in my house, and last year, couple of years, it wasn't as bad. So I should have thought of that, Daryl. I think of it when I pay the bill. I realize it's LED, but I should have thought of it when it comes to what you guys are trying to do. Tell people what the Sertoma Club is all about. What you guys do.
Well, our mission is speech and hearing. So we do a lot of gifting to people that need speech and hearing, like equipment at the Moorhead State University. We support their speech and hearing department with tens of thousands of dollars to buy equipment so they can do the testing on the individuals that are coming through there. This allows their grad students we bought some new equipment that they can record, so they can go back and show the parents and or the teachers can review the program the testing that they're doing with the individuals. So they can do that offline whenever they want to. So that was about $60,000, and that's really helped their department down there. We also give the school at least $5,000 a year for scholarships for the grads and undergrads. We buy many, many sets of hearing aids in the community for people that can't afford them. They go through a little process that we have, and then we get those dispersed out to them. Of course, we support our Camp Sertoma Deaf Camp that's in the summertime. We do a lot of gifting to the emergency food banks, all of them in the community. And we also do collect cans this year given to the food banks, but this year we're not giving the $2 donation back just because we're trying to recoup for that electrical upgrade we have to do.
Yeah. Does the Fargo Park system ever help out? The parks are all about people using them, and people are using it at Lindenwood. You ever put the hit on them a little bit to see if they chip in?
Well, we try, but they're controlled real tightly with their budgeting, and they're getting money from the city, so they're trying to be stewards of their money too. So we work together on it, try to do the best we can.
No, I know you guys are good to each other. All right, tell people where to go, when to go, Daryl. Before I lose my time here.
Sure, every night through December 31st, including the 31st, from 5:30 to 10 o'clock. And try to come on the weekdays as the weekends get really hectic. The traffic gets blocked up for several blocks on the weekends.
And you'll take new members in the Sertoma Club?
We certainly will.
Yeah, exactly. With the mission you just described, I know people, this sounds like something that a person, if they gave their time, it certainly would be worthwhile. So, Daryl, thanks for what you do, and thanks for how you help my buddy Dan Michaels too.
Yep. Thanks, Joel.
Yeah, just good people, ladies and gentlemen, doing the job. I hope you get through. And throw a little extra in the hat. You just heard they got costs coming up. So, all right, we're going to talk about differences today versus what it used to be like here.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. Yeah. That's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with
9 o'clock, we have fog and 37 degrees. I'm Don Haney, News Radio KFGO. Dense fog advisory in effect now until noon. A weather advisory popping up about 7 tonight till 8 tomorrow morning. We'll likely see areas of fog and drizzle today and a chance of light mixed precipitation or light snow by this evening. Becoming breezy later on. Likely we'll probably see some icy conditions later on with some strong winds and some issues out there by tomorrow morning. So something to pay attention to for your travel coming up later tonight into tomorrow morning. The North Dakota Highway Patrol has released a very distinctive tattoo in the hopes it can help identify a man who was seriously hurt when he was struck by a car Monday night in South Fargo. A photo of that tattoo can be seen at KFGO.com. Anyone who can identify him is asked to contact State Radio Communications in Bismarck and talk to a trooper. The man was hit by a car as he crossed 25th Street South. Man who claimed he had been sleepwalking was rescued from the ice on Lake Ashtabula north of Valley City. Authorities responded after someone reported the man was yelling for help around 8:30 yesterday morning. He was spotted about 100 yards from shore, sitting on the ice, wearing a T-shirt, blue jeans, with no shoes. A Corps of Engineers ranger and sheriff's deputies, with the aid of safety equipment, were able to retrieve the man off the ice. The man was taken by ambulance to the Valley City Hospital. His injuries were not serious. Meanwhile, 2 people were rescued after they were trapped on drifting ice on the Red Lake Reservation in northwest Minnesota. Red Lake Police, conservation officers, and Red Lake Fire responded to a call for help from the ice fishermen shortly before noon yesterday. Mutual aid was requested from the fire department in Bemidji when it became apparent there was a large amount of open water between the main body of ice and the ice that had drifted away with the men on it. The father, 62-year-old David Berard of Red Lake, and his son, 44-year-old Wilford Berard of Blaine, Minnesota, were rescued by emergency responders and were safely brought to shore without injury. The Red Lake Department of Public Safety is warning the public about the dangers of fishing on new ice with high winds anywhere in the region. Company responsible for the largest oil field spill in North Dakota history has reported a leak from a pipeline within 2 miles of the record spill several years ago. The latest spill from a Summit Midstream Partners pipeline leaked saltwater onto a farmland area close to the creek contaminated by the record spill north of Williston several years ago. KFGO weather, meteorologist Tom Szymanski talking again about that dense fog advisory until noon today. Weather advisory kicking in at 7 tonight. Otherwise, we'll see light mixed precipitation or light snow by this evening, and a breezy high today, 41. Currently, fog and 36.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? From It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
First off, thank you. If the KFGO table can be a little quiet over here.
Sorry. We're talk show hosts.
Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a round. Thursday night at Bar 9, and I want to thank Bar 9 for allowing us to come here, give a trigger away. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. They are busting tail here. Standing room only, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So what's about to happen right now, you've all come and registered. Eric Johnson is diligently spinning this golden drum. And I do mean very diligently. And in a moment, I'm going to read a name, and that name needs to be present to win. And if your name's called, I want you to yell very loudly and then come get your tray. All right, you ready? Do it. For those of you that can't see, well, my hand is now going into the golden drum. I have pulled one name.
Courtney? Yep.
Courtney? Yeah, you can hear a pin drop. That's great. Courtney Lavonda? Courtney, get on up here. Courtney, there you are. Congratulations. Oh, no, we're not ready. All right. Hey.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
Just want to thank one more time Donna's Diner. That was a good time, Ab. You missed one. Breakfast there was absolutely fabulous.
See, I would love to come to one. Do you want to run the board, though, or?
Teach me how. You hit a button? What do you do back there? You hit
Just,
buttons?
yeah.
Hey, maybe this one will work.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe that one will work.
As long as a few of them are lit up, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's lights?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then you know if it's on or not.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
My popcorn machine at home, there's a light that goes on when it's on.
This is the same exact thing.
Okay. How many buttons are there?
1, 2, 3, 4. A lot. There's a lot.
1, 2, 3, 4. And we're through the first row.
And we've lost count.
And not quite. So the answer is no. And here's the thing about Donna's Diner. They have one of the, it's Donna, and like her right-hand person is a woman named Linda, who they've worked together for a long time. You know what the password for the Wi-Fi is?
What?
Be nice to Linda. No, I found out that's not true, but that's what Linda told me.
That's what she said. Yeah,
that's exactly right. I want to thank
and they
Vision
have cutouts
Ford
of Elvis. They have an Elvis there.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
It really was. Also, there's a real story there in an investment that was made for developing small towns on Main Drag Oaks. And I would encourage anyone who is looking at any type of a business meeting, business setup, to really check into it. And what you're going to find is you're going to find a great place to have that meeting that ties in with the rest of the world, the type of technology they have in that room, to be able to sit down and do, what we all are starting to have to do with our professional and our continuing ed. That's a big part of it as well. That's gone away. And that was something different. And maybe it's my job now versus what my jobs were before. But I used to go to what everyone would call conventions or whatever, and you'd sit in classrooms and you'd absorb and you'd hear and you'd talk and you'd listen to speakers. And there's going to be less of that in the future. People are they're not going to say, hey, I went to Tampa, or hey, I went to New Orleans, or I went to this conference there or that conference there. It's going to be, in many cases, done virtually. And so that was always a big budget item for a number of businesses. Now, one of the big tells for me is going to be whether or not legislators adhere to what they tell the departments to live up to. You don't need that in your budget. You don't have to have that in your budget. Hell, go on Zoom. Heck, look in front of the computer. I can tell you this. I was no angel. When I was in the legislature, I went to meetings. You paid for them. The state paid for them. I went to other meetings that you didn't pay for, but others did. There were certain, things to deal with higher education that I went to. So I'm not trying to pretend that I wasn't on an airplane going to some of these meetings. What I'm trying to say is it's a different day. Technology has taken it a different way. And so, it's going to be something that, changes. And that's what I kept thinking about that's changed. I mean, that's what I kept thinking about when I was in Oaks. I kept thinking about, how this fits into the new economy and into what people are going to be doing. We're gonna talk later on with North Dakota Voices Network. We're going to talk with the director of outreach and programming, Zach Packenow, and we're going to get a chance to visit with him about childcare. We've been talking a lot about childcare on air, and we're going to continue to talk a lot about childcare on air because it's one of the big issues that is stymieing our economy. It's one of the big issues that couples have to deal with. You want new home startups? Put more money in their hands, right? You find ways to make sure that people want to have children, and it isn't such a financial burden that they can't afford to have children, right? And I don't want to hear from any of you that have 10 kids and say, I raised them all on my own. Okay. Yep. That day's done. The same people that when it comes to technical college aren't trying to find a way or look for a way to encourage more people to go. I paid for my college. Well, I did too. I mean, I paid off my college debt. So did you. So what? It's a new day. And we don't have electricians. We don't have plumbers. We don't have diesel mechs. We don't have nurse practitioners. We don't have RNs. We don't have LPNs. We don't have nurses' aides. You want me to keep going down the list of what we don't have? Because it's there. I mean, it's there. I wanted to get a chance today to talk about the hypocrisy of where we're at. And most of you that I'm speaking to along this whole network of radio stations didn't vote the way I voted for president. I get it. I understand it. I don't apologize for my vote, and I'm sure you don't apologize for yours. What I'm asking you to do is to take a step back today. Just take a step back and don't look through it through that biased lens that you have, and ask yourself a basic question. What would you do if the other side of the aisle was doing this? Okay? What would you do if in fact the other side of the aisle was doing some of what we're seeing playing out in the news broadcast? Now, how would you handle it? And I want you to think about that in light of all the information in the news that went out nationally in the last couple days. And so we're going to have a conversation about that today. I'm going to get your take on it. But one of the things that's going on, and, my daughter and I speak on the way to work. She's got the same type of schedule. And my daughter called me this morning, and she said, the one thing I trust immensely is Tom Szymanski. And the reason I trust Tom Szymanski is because he isn't one of these, it's going to rain, 8 inches type things. When he tells you that trouble's coming, she said, it's true. And he doesn't exaggerate the weather. I asked him to come into the studio now and join us. Too Tall, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good morning.
Trouble is a-coming, the way it sounds down south of Minnesota, Iowa.
Yeah, I've been doing this since late 1980, which is a long time ago. A lot of people listening may not have been born then. And this is a situation that, quite frankly, I haven't seen. Moderate risk for severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center, which is in Norman, Oklahoma. So they're in charge of issuing outlooks and also watches, all right? And a lot of times, even in like May, June, July, during the peak of our tornado season up in these latitudes, you don't see those. So the fact that those are issued, you take note. When it's issued 10 days before Christmas, it's an eye popper. I mean, moderate risk for severe weather as far north as the Twin Cities, including Rochester. I got a sister that lives down there. I gave her a heads up. Iowa. I'm not saying this is going to be a repeat of Kentucky area, but I think the main threat with this will be strong wind, straight line wind. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a wide swath of 80-plus mile-an-hour wind with this, okay? And the problem, too, with that is that there will be some power outages. Couple that with the fact that this Arctic air that's coming in behind here, and that's soon going to get there, a lot of people may wake up with no heat tomorrow morning, too. That's going to be a problem. Not to mention there will be some spin-up tornadoes likely here and there as well. It's not often that I go out and blow hard about that. It's just not my style.
That was Ashley's point. It's just not who you are. So you really got her attention with your report today.
Yeah, and that's going to be probably between 6 and 10 p.m. in south central through southeast Minnesota, northeast Iowa, western Wisconsin. It's going to be a fast mover. Each storm itself, I'm not talking about the wind that they're going to create, Joe. I'm talking about how fast the storms are going to move. They're going to be breaking the speed limit on interstate highways. We're talking 70 to 80 miles per hour. That's how fast the storms are going to be moving.
Wow.
So if you see one coming your way, you don't have much time to act. That's the problem there. Now, for us here, we're actually on the good side of the storm. It's kind of weird to talk about, the good side of the storm. We're only going to get freezing rain and snow and wind and cold, okay? Mm-hmm. But I guess I would take that over what's going to be happening down there. Up and down the valley, there will be a little glazing of ice and then maybe a 1 to 3 inch snowfall and then just sharply colder temperatures coming up. So that's how that's what it shapes up to be. A wide variety of weather, historic storms. Some of the Weather Service personnel down in Minneapolis and down through Des Moines, Iowa at the Weather Service offices are saying this will be a storm that people will remember for their entire career.
Yeah.
Could be a case study in the universities down the road.
So, the RECs, these guys are not going to have a good Christmas because they're going to be putting back poles for how long? How long does this storm last?
It's a fast mover. That's the good thing. It's going to come. It's going to go. So, I mean, there's going to be a 2 to 4 hour window in the evening for these thunderstorms to move through. Following it, it'll probably be windy down there most of the day tomorrow. Then after that, things will settle down. It's just going to get cold after that.
What's happening, Tom? I mean, there's people that are saying, well, that's weather. Who knows what happened in the past all the time, but bad things have happened in the past.
Yeah.
There's others who are saying, this is our climate changing. There's others who say that it's the natural progression of where the earth goes. I mean, this is science, and this is who you are. I mean, what's going on?
I prefer to stick on the meteorological versus the climatological aspects of it, which will be borne out later as data gets more and more, extensive and will be studied down the road. But like I said, I've never seen this. And, of course, the situation that happened in Kentucky, most of those states down there get 1 or 2 tornadoes in an entire month of December at the most. There were a couple dozen down there. And these were major tornadoes. Now, back in 1925, in March of 1925, there was what was called a tri-state tornado that rolled through 3 states and produced winds widely scattered of over 300 miles per hour. So that was the longest track tornado up until this one, which was about 223 miles. So it exceeded the tri-state tornado by about 4 miles. So this is the longest track tornado ever that happened in Kentucky. Of course, Mayfield? Is that the town? Yeah. That's the one that's gotten the most headlines. But trust me, there are a lot of other towns that got destroyed too.
Yeah. Carolyn came on and she was talking to us, somebody from that area who knew that area and just was heartbroken about what she saw. And it's there. And what you're saying here is bad is coming our way. Now, it may be south of us, but you and I both know that from where we live, we go to the Twin Cities a lot. We go south. You said you have a sister down there.
I have a sister in Rochester, works at Mayo. So I've told her about it, so she's aware. There's one thing we ought to keep in mind here closer to our immediate area valley and maybe a little westward. If this storm, and anything can happen, if it goes a little further west, we could end up with a lot more snow than I'm expecting here. We're not going to get the tornadoes up in western Minnesota and the Dakotas. We're not going to get any of that, but we could end up with a lot more snow if and only if that storm goes further west than I expect. But I think the main impact from a terrible severe weather standpoint is going to be south and east of us.
Okay. So what's your forecast now?
That's it. We're just looking at severe weather in Iowa, southern Minnesota, and snowfall and mixed precipitation sliding east across the region. Temperatures are going to vary. Here's an idea of what's going on. Highs in the teens in northwest North Dakota to the 60s in southern Minnesota. That's an incredible range. About 8 to 10 below northwest tonight to about 30 above southeast, and single numbers, teens, 20s, and 30s from north to south tomorrow. Current temps 30s and 40s. Right now, too tallest town of the day is Leeds, North Dakota. I think that's Tyler Axon's country.
Is.
We're at 17.
Almost everybody that was great came out of Leeds except one that I know
except
of.
One. Where
exactly.
Is he
so, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Tom.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Any news, you come running in here and you tell us. You get on statewide radio here. All right. When we come back, your thoughts, 1-800-880-5346. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. get out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Thank you. If the KFGO table could be a little quiet over here.
Sorry. We're talk show.
Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a round. Thursday night at Bar 9, and I want to thank Bar 9 for allowing us to come here, give a trigger away. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. There are busting tail here. Standing room only, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So what's about to happen right now, you've all come and registered. Eric Johnson is diligently spinning this golden drum. And I do mean very diligently. And in a moment, I'm going to read a name, and that name needs to be present to win. And if your name's called, I want you to yell very loudly and then come get your tray. All right, you ready? Let's do it. For those of you that can't see, well, my hand is now going into the golden drum. I have pulled one name. Courtney? Yep. Courtney? Yeah, you can hear a pin drop. That's great. Courtney Lavonda? Courtney, get on up here.
If you want to check them out on Twitter, it's at Growing Small Towns. I'm looking at it right now. The website is growsmalltowns.org. I got that from a friend. So that's what I was talking about in Oaks. The phone lines are lit up. Let's get to work here and get to Kate. Kate, you're on News and Views.
I'm amazed because our brains work alike. I suggested that on Facebook, that the Democrats take a page out of the Trump playbook and do their own coup, only do it right.
Well, let me ask you this. Kate, yeah, do it right. But Kate, let me ask you this. If Joe Biden, if it had been found out, you know, what came out in the Meadows release of information, if it had been found out that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had done that, what do you think would be the reaction in South Dakota and North Dakota?
The Republicans would be on fire, and they'd try and impeach him.
Exactly. I mean, they couldn't take it. And yet we're supposed to sit there and be quiet and use phrases like, well, that's who he is. That's what he does. This was an attempted insurrection, and we're finding out now how planned and orchestrated it was, period.
Well, what the Republicans are in junior high. I taught junior high. The only way to discipline junior high kids is to go by the rules and finish it. The filibuster needs to go. The only reason the filibuster is there is because the whining of the South senators got that in. When do we reward losers? They don't get trophies. They don't get the banner on the wall. The Republicans lost. Yeah. The Americans, I think, in 2022 are going to crush the Republican Party because they see them for the hypocrites that they are.
You know, Kate, I was agreeing with a lot of what you said until the end. I don't believe that. I believe that Democrats are going to lose the House. I think that they potentially could lose the Senate. I think in 2.5 years, Donald Trump's going to be running again, and he could easily find himself president again. And so, thank you.
I think Democrats have to start standing up. The reason Trump won was because he was a forceful bully. People admire that. Democrats have to start standing up and get on their bully pulpit and say what's really going on and keep saying it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kate. I'm gonna just add this though, because I was listening to national news this morning. I ended up getting up an hour early this morning, and so I had all of this time, and I'm reading and I'm watching and I'm listening, and all I could hear was that the Democrats need to get tougher. They need to get. This is a party that impeached this president twice. That's historic. They impeached this president twice. This is a party that has called out everything they possibly can, and all we hear from states like North Dakota and South Dakota is so what? I mean, is so what? They orchestrated an attack upon the capital of the United States. They knew it. They text and they called each other and said, you've got to get them to call it off. You've got to get them to call it off. It's going to wreck our whole legacy of what we've done here. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. He wasn't going to call it off. He was sitting there, pure speculation on my part, but we need to find out that he's sitting there watching, enjoying, and not even listening to his son. Now, for all of you individuals out there who want to talk about journalism, I have said time and time again, I don't pretend to be a journalist. I'm a talk show host. You're going to listen to newsmen and women. That's what they do. But I'm going to tell you one thing. There's no journalists at Fox News. They got caught. They got caught big time. When they're sitting there saying, okay, how do we spin this? What do we do? And then they don't even point out that they got caught. They don't report. They don't look into a camera and say, yeah, I talked to Meadows and, I was trying to help. They don't even acknowledge the fact they did it. Why do you guys watch Fox News? Why?
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that kind of we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really, really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Thank you. If the KFGO table could be a little quiet over here.
Sorry. We're talk show.
Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a Thursday night at bar 9.
I heard Liz Cheney say from yesterday was what exactly was in these text messages, and some of those words probably shouldn't be on the News and Views radio network. So Liz Cheney, Republican, very conservative Republican from the state of Wyoming, is serving on the committee that's overlooking and taking a look at the insurrection of the United States of America, the attempted coup of what happened, and they're trying to get to the bottom of it. And so what they did was Mark Meadows, former member of Congress, released his information or part of it to the committee. Then he got in trouble with his former boss, big trouble with his former boss. And then he kind of pled the fifth, right? Well, I'm not coming. Well, now he's been charged with contempt. And so his life is going down the same path as others, where he could find himself, quite frankly, sitting in jail, depending on what judge he wants to try to get in front of. But the truth of the matter is, information of what was going on from that day has been released to that bipartisan committee. And Liz Cheney spoke to that from the committee. Take a listen to what Congresswoman Liz Cheney says.
Indeed, according to the records, multiple Fox News hosts knew the president needed to act immediately. They texted Mr. Meadows, and he has turned over those texts. Quote, Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home. This is hurting all of us. He is destroying his legacy, Laura Ingraham wrote. Please get him on TV. Destroying everything you have accomplished, Brian Kilmeade texted. Quote, can he make a statement? Ask people to leave the Capitol, Sean Hannity urged. As the violence continued, one of the president's sons texted Mr. Meadows, quote, he's got to condemn this ASAP. The Capitol Police tweet is not enough, Donald Trump Jr. texted. Meadows responded, quote, I'm pushing it hard, I agree. Still, President Trump did not immediately act. Donald Trump Jr. texted again and again, urging action by the president. Quote, we need an Oval Office address. He has to lead now. It has gone too far and gotten out of hand, end quote. But hours passed without necessary action by the president. These non-privileged texts are further evidence of President Trump's supreme dereliction of duty during those 187 minutes.
When you hear that from a very conservative Republican congresswoman whose family has a long history of working within the confines of the law and the government of the United States, and you hear her speak before all of this about the passion of defending our democracy and our elections and understanding and appreciating free elections and making sure that that's how this country continues to go forward. You win, you lose, but you, after it's over, shake hands and help to make the country the best it can be. That's not where we're at anymore. That's not where we're at anymore. Rich Wardner, let me use that as an example. He's holding a press conference today at noon. You don't have to be Dick Tracy to figure out he's pulling the pin. After all of those years in the North Dakota State Senate, he's leaving. And he's not an old man. He's got tread left on the tire. But he's leaving. I'm just going to make a prediction here, but the reason he's leaving, and one of the biggest reasons he's leaving is because he's got to work with some of these idiots. He had to get up in the morning and see how ridiculous Ole Larson was. He had to get up in the morning and hear how incredibly, I don't know the word I can use that would be usable on air. Lack of intelligence. Let's just say that. Jason Heitkamp brought to the North Dakota Senate. I mean, imagine if you get up every day and you have to work with people like that and you see where the democracy is going. Now, I want to ask you a question, right? And this is fair. If Bill Guy, Art Link, if Bud Sinner were governor of the state, and they forced upon a licensing agency that their child should be allowed to be licensed, that their child gets to be licensed because they're governor, what do you think would happen? Do you think you as Republicans would call them out on it? Do you think that you do what you could do to make sure that that's an abuse of power? Yes. Yes, you would. Absolutely you would. And that's what we're getting at. When you start appointing your staff's sons to jobs, that's a conflict. That's a reason that the people of North Dakota vote in an ethics commission. And now they want to do everything they can to undercut the ethics commission because they don't like it. And you know why? Because it's putting ethics into government where there aren't ethics right now. There isn't a decency right now. There isn't someone taking the high road and saying no. You've got two United States senators in North Dakota, two now, United States senators from North Dakota that voted against strictly because this is the way you do it in today's world. They voted against a young woman who was a prosecutor out on the East Coast. They voted against her being a federal judge. She was appointed by Joe Biden, so that doesn't make her good enough. Nagla she grew up in Oaks, the town that we were just in, this beautiful community with wonderful people from both sides of the aisle and people that are right in the middle, that are independent. Her parents are the reason that hospital is successful, and she's not good enough to serve because she was appointed by a Democratic president. So John Hoeven and Kevin Kramer throw her to the side. Imagine if you're her parents and you wake up in the morning and this state that you have worked so hard to serve as physicians, this community and these counties that you look at and you provided a service that was so desperate and have the respect of so many people from so many walks of life and so many different politics and religion. Imagine if you're them and you see that your 2 United States senators voted against this beautiful human being you call your daughter. She wasn't good enough for our 2 senators. She was good enough for other Republicans. She was appointed bipartisan, but she couldn't pass the ultimate right litmus test, that ultra right litmus test that John Hoeven and Kevin Kramer now possess. You have to have it. Now, I want to ask you this. If Byron Dorgan or Kent Conrad or Heidi Heitkamp had voted against a person from North Dakota with a background that this young woman had and the opportunity to show how good our education system is in this state, to show how this person got prepared for a work ethic that it's going to take to succeed from our state, from these beautiful parents. If they had voted against a Republican appointee like that, what would you do? That's what I'm asking today. What would you do? If Kent Conrad or Byron Dorgan, if that role was reversed and George W. Bush appointed her to that federal judgeship and they voted against her, what would you do? What would the papers say? I go back to the insurrection. Part of this was orchestrated right here in our backyard, and part of it was supported by our delegation, at least one member of it. One member made sure certain media from this area had complete access, while that member of the media was running around saying this was Antifa. His words are, this is Antifa. That's what he's got it on good source. This is Antifa. I would argue that a lot of these people knew what they were going to D.C. for on January 6th. And when you say that it was just a handful of people and then it got carried away, do you want to know whether or not that was orchestrated from the highest levels of our government? Because I do. I do. I want to know whether the highest levels of our government orchestrated that. They knew if they pushed this button, that button was going to go off. They knew if they did this, that was going to go off. Because you know what happened? Lives were lost. Lives were affected. Lives were damaged. Lives were changed. Our nation was changed. A bigger divide than ever happened. It was an attempted coup on the United States of America. They didn't like the election result. They tried to do it to Republicans. Ask the Secretary of State of Georgia what's happened to his life. Ask, why do you think Mark Meadows was complying with what he had to do with the committee and then all of a sudden quit? Because he was threatened. And they're afraid. They're afraid. Why do you think 2 United States senators wouldn't vote to approve a North Dakota girl who grew up in Oaks, North Dakota, when she was just appointed to be a federal judge. Because they're afraid. Let's get to the weather cave and find out. There are a lot of things going on in the weather. Tom?
Yeah, there are. Will be.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio. Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thank you. If the KFGO table can be a little quiet over here.
Sorry. We're talk show.
Thanks. Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a round. Thursday night at Bar 9, and I want to thank Bar 9 for allowing us to come here, give a trigger away. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. They are busting tail here. Standing room only, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So what's about to happen right now, you've all come and registered. Eric Johnson is diligently spinning this golden drum. And I do mean very diligently. And in a moment, I'm going to read a name, and that name needs to be present to win. And if your name's called, I want you to yell very loudly and then come get your tray. All right, you ready? Let's do it. For those of you that can't see where my hand is now going into the golden drum, I have pulled one name. Courtney? Yep. Courtney? Yeah, you can hear a pin drop. That's great. Courtney Lavonda?
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically.
Somebody saying you're only telling half the story about Fox News. All right. What did she say that was wrong? I don't get that. And has Fox News spoke once about it? No. So I am more than anxious for you to text some more, 35270, or call 1-800-880-5346 and tell me what half the story I'm telling. Let's get to the ranch and find out what's going on in the markets with our Farm and Ranch Director, Sarah Heinrich.
Seeing a downward trend on the board right now, as we are seeing March corn down 3 1/4 at $5.87. December at $5.43, down 2 3/4. March wheat falls 12 1/4 at $10.08. September at $9.12, down a dime and a quarter. January soybeans down 3 3/4 at $12.55. New crop November at $12.34, 8 1/4 cent lower. January feeder cattle fall 48 cents at $164.10. February live cattle down $1.25, and for February lean hogs we're at $79 even, $1.08 lower. With your markets, I'm Farm and Ranch Director Sarah Heinrich from the Enterprise Sales Ag Studio, your grain handling and storage experts for the News and Views Radio Network.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Let's get to Jack. Jack, you're on News and Views.
I just want to say, Joel, right on. Way to put this out there. I want to hear a little more attitude, actually. All this anti-vaccine and anti-mask is all part of this stuff. And, we see these Trump one signs around town. It's enough to drive you nuts. And I just want to say, right on, Joel, right on.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. Here's, to me, the most repulsive thing. And I go back to Sisseton, where that school bus drives by on that highway into that town every day. And you have this home on the edge of town that clearly wants to be noticed. I mean, they keep their yard up great. They trim their shrubs, and they've got an F Biden, right? I mean, that's where these folks, that's who they are. That's what they are. That's what they think about the United States of America. And that's what's wrong. Right? I'd like to go back and replay some games from high school that we lost. Let's go do it again, right? Let's go find a way to play those games again, because I don't believe I really lost. I mean, can't we just do that? Here's the truth. The election was held. It was certified. The government did its job. And yet the best way to not come off as the loser you are is to create an insurrection. And for those of you who say quit using insurrection, let me just say, definition of insurrection, a violent uprising against an authority or government. Are you telling me that wasn't an insurrection? I want to read this to you one more time for you text messengers that say quit calling it an insurrection. A violent uprising against an authority or government. Ladies and gentlemen, That's an insurrection. And that's what happened on January 6th, and that was orchestrated. When we come back, childcare right after this. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Thank you. If the KFGO table could be a little quiet over here. Sorry. We're talk show hosts. Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a Thursday night at Bar 9, and I want to thank Bar 9 for allowing us to come here, give a trigger away. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. They are busting tail here. Standing room only, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So what's about to happen right now, you've all come and registered. Eric Johnson is diligently spinning this golden drum. And I do mean very diligently. And in a moment I'm going to read a name, and that name needs to be present to win. And if your name's called, I want you to yell very loudly and then come get your tray. All right, you ready? Let's do it. For those of you that can't see, well, my hand is now going into the golden drum. I have pulled one name. Courtney? Yep. Courtney? Yeah, you can hear a pin drop. That's great. Courtney Lavanda? Courtney, get on up here. Courtney, there you are. Congratulations. Oh, no, we're not ready. All right. Hey.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead, we still have fog and 37 degrees. I'm Phil Jerkins. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has pleaded guilty to federal charges of violating George Floyd's civil rights. He will not face a federal trial in January, though he could end up spending more time in prison. Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years in the state's case against him. 3 other former officers were indicted on federal charges alongside Chauvin earlier this year. They are still scheduled for trial early next year on those charges, with a state trial to follow. The State Patrol has released an image of a distinctive tattoo as it attempts to identify a man who was struck by a car in South Fargo. It happened at the intersection of 13th Avenue and 25th Street South at about 6:45 Monday night. Captain Brian Newen says the man was hit as he was crossing in a crosswalk on 25th. The driver of the car had a green light. The victim was seriously injured. He's Native American, between 35 and 40, 5'10", 262, and weighs 200 to 240 pounds. Anyone who may be able to identify him should contact the State Patrol. With Minnesota expecting a massive budget surplus, Sandy Livingston is wondering,
when are the frontline workers going to see this money? We show up for work day in and day out.
Livingston is a grocery store cashier in Baxter near Brainerd. She says the state's record budget surplus of more than $7.5 billion is more than enough to give 1,500 COVID bonuses to 667,000 essential workers in Minnesota. Democratic Representative Cedric Fraser of New Hope.
It wasn't a tough decision for the DFL to honor these heroes. It has only been tough for our Republican colleagues to agree to include all of these heroes.
Republican leaders have not committed to spending part of the surplus on health care and other workers who have stayed on the job throughout the pandemic. The company responsible for the largest oil field spill in North Dakota history has reported a leak from a pipeline within 2 miles of the record spill several years ago. The latest spill from a Summit Midstream Partners pipeline leaked saltwater onto farmland close to the creek contaminated by the record spill north of Williston. Dense fog advisory in effect until noon. Meteorologist Tom Szymanski is also reminding us of the weather advisory from the Weather Service. Goes into effect at 7 this evening. It'll be in effect until early tomorrow morning. Fog drizzle today, chance of light mixed precipitation, some light snow by this evening, and the wind picking up later on. High of about 41 this afternoon. Windy tonight. Areas of mixed precipitation, a conversion to snow, and then tapering off late. Some blowing snow. 8 for the overnight low. Tomorrow, partly sunny, windy through the middle part of the day. Some blowing snow tomorrow morning, and a high near 12. As far as snow accumulation, 1 to 2 inches locally this evening through overnight. More could occur in Lakes Country and in northwestern Minnesota. Fargo-Moorhead, it's 37 degrees.
Welcome back to the News and Views Radio Network. Zach Packenow is with us right now. Zach is the Director of Outreach and Programming for the North Dakota Voices Network, a bipartisan group that doesn't play the, boy, this party's got it right, that party has it wrong. But, Zach, we asked to come in, and they're going around, and they're doing they're speaking. We're going to bring more issues, too, through these North Dakota Voices, and we're going to bring people on that can answer your questions, that are willing to get into a conversation, that will take any slings and arrows that can be brought on what you might disagree with, but they're about issues. I mean, that's why Zach is here. They're about issues. Now, many times in the last how long we've been talking about the economy and how the economy is stymied because we don't have enough workers in it, and how after post-COVID, some people didn't come back into the economy. And a big part of that, in my personal belief, is because they found out what life was like money-wise before they left and then after they left. And what they found out was that they couldn't afford childcare and they weren't making that much money. And so if they're not making that much money, then why would they work, right? Why wouldn't they just go to a one-income family? Here's the thing, you lost a worker. You might say, well, good, that's back to the traditional family, but you lost someone you need in the workforce. I'm sorry, but that's just the sheer economics of it. Well, I asked Zach to come in to talk about Build Back Better, and I asked him to come in so that we could talk about it in relation to childcare. Zach, good to have you on News and Views.
Thank you, Joel, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
One of the first questions that I have for you is, when you look at Build Back Better, what does it do when it comes to childcare? I think most people, like myself, need to know more about what this legislation does.
Yeah, so Build Back Better will increase access to childcare, make it more affordable, and just improve the quality of childcare for North Dakota families. And as North Dakota Voices Network, we're working to build a statewide coalition that lifts up policies and issues that support the working families of North Dakota. And so childcare is something that impacts North Dakota families all across the state. And that's something that North Dakota families need in order to get back into the workforce. So,
how does it do it?
Access to affordable childcare is essential for parents to the workforce and maintain quality employment. As we know, many communities across North Dakota lack accessible and affordable childcare to meet the demand for our state's working families. I mean, we've heard from rural families that they're having to travel significant distances, sometimes an hour each direction, to access childcare. And then for those families that do find care, the cost is often out of reach. Childcare is expensive as in-state tuition at UND or NDSU. We did see during the North Dakota special legislative session that a 2% allocation of $17 million from the federal ARPA funds addressed the childcare crisis in North Dakota, but that's really just a down payment on what needs to be a bigger investment into childcare in North Dakota.
So it does it through money? It invests in local childcare?
Yes.
It's grants, or how does it do it, Zach? I mean, to me, that's the biggest thing because if this gets in place, I can tell you a lot of small towns are going to say, whoa, this could be just what we're looking for.
Right.
So how physically does it do it?
Yeah, so over the first 3 years of Build Back Better, North Dakota would receive $193 million towards childcare. So businesses will benefit as workers have more reliable and affordable childcare. Today, businesses are struggling to find workers, in part due to the lack of childcare in many communities. And providing a guarantee of childcare will allow parents to work and remain in the workforce.
So what do you say to the people then? And I have them come at me here on air when we have this conversation that say, look, they're your children. If you can't afford it, stay out of the workforce. What do you say to them?
Solutions to childcare are a bipartisan common sense issue, Joel. We've heard policymakers from across the aisle, both on record, on your show, and on the Senate floor, say that childcare is a workforce development issue. So this is a bipartisan common sense solution. We can all agree that this is a problem. How we solve it, we need to come together and figure that out too.
So are there examples out there, in areas that are, I'm going to use the word progressive, that look at problems like this and say collectively we can get after this, we could do this. Are there areas out there where things like this have been used and it worked, or is this just a complete new concept?
I know that there's been investments into childcare in other states that have worked significantly. So for Build Back Better in North Dakota, it's going to cap co-pays for childcare in a family's income at 7%. So saving the average North Dakota family about $3,900 per year.
Per child?
I can't remember if it's per child, but it's going to save them $3,900.
So that's $4K they don't have before.
Correct. And then
that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Ask a car dealer if they wouldn't mind them having $4K more. Ask somebody who's renting an apartment or a home, building a home, if they wouldn't like them to have $4,000 more in their pocket.
Right. And in Build Back Better, the child care policy will also mean that more families will receive support to pay for child care. So once phased in, nearly all families will be eligible for assistance. And we're looking at supporting upwards of 60,000 children in North Dakota if Build Back Better passes.
So how's it get paid for? Are you going to raise my taxes to do this? I mean, how does it get paid for? I mean, to me, a big part of this, when people talk about Build Back Better, the one thing that the president does consistently is he talks about how the legislation itself was paid for.
Yeah.
About how you're not going to see taxes on the average jamoke like you and I.
Correct.
That they're going to come at the highest and the biggest level. And he's looking at corporate taxes as well. But I mean, how have you broke down how this is getting paid for?
Yeah, so this will be paid for by taxes on the wealthy and on corporations. So they'll be the targets on this one.
I know that there was talk about $400K or more, and actually I think that level ended up going up more. So for me personally, we're not going to see this economy kick in again and do what it could do until we get our arms around childcare. And the reason, Zach, that I say that is because the people that were right there on the edge of should they even be working found out they don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
They found out they don't need to. And the employers that lost those workers, and primarily they're women, they hardworking, intelligent, built their career up to a point, and then it's like, but we don't want you to have children.
Right. So
it's like, which one is it? I mean, which one?
Yeah, so the lack of affordable options also makes it difficult for parents, and like as you said, Joel, especially mothers, to remain in their jobs, contributing to this like upwards of 14% gender gap in the workforce participation between mothers and fathers in North Dakota. So over the first 3 years of Build Back Better, North Dakota is going to receive over $193 million towards childcare. Okay. That's going to get parents back into the workforce.
A couple of questions are coming into you through the text club. Can you hang in there, Zach? I want to talk to you a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, but first, a lot of things going on in the weather. We got to get to Too Tall Tom and get him all the... Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
If the KFGO table could be a little quiet over here. Sorry. We're talk show hosts. Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. Thursday night at Bar 9, and I want to thank Bar 9 for allowing us to come here, give a trigger away. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. They are busting tail here. Standing room only, so thank you. So what's about to happen right now, you've all come and registered. Eric Johnson is diligently spinning this golden drum. And I do mean very diligently. And in a moment I'm going to read a name, and that name needs to be present to win. And if your name's called, I want you to yell very loudly and then come get your tray. All right, you ready? Do it. For those of you that can't see, where my hand is now going into the golden drum, I have Hold one name.
Courtney?
Yep. Courtney? Yeah, you can hear a pin drop. That's great. Courtney Lavonda? Courtney, get on up here. All right. Hey.
Why do I like ice fishing so much? I don't know, to me it's just something I enjoy and just a hobby that I've been into for quite a few years, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good time to get out and hang out with all your buddies and just get away from reality for a little while. First time that I ever went ice fishing, I was like 6 or 7, and I actually fell through the ice. We were in a portable ice house, and I was standing in there, and my dad and my uncle Kevin were moving it, and when they pushed it, I wasn't ready for it, and my leg went down the hole. That was fun. It was cold. You can get into hunting and fishing and stuff like that relatively cheap, and it's just like buying a vehicle. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, or you can just go to Walmart and get enough stuff and go out and do it, and you can be just as successful as the people that spend all the money on it. North Bros Outdoors, yeah, me and a buddy of mine, Jacob Enixon, we went to high school together, and we actually had the idea back in high school to make an outdoors page, just hunting and fishing, four-wheeling, anything outdoors basically. A lot of it right now, it's really heavily based on ice fishing, and this fall it was heavily based on deer hunting and bow hunting and rifle season too. So yeah, just kind of an outdoors group, and we call ourselves North Bros Outdoors. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel. There's plenty of brands out there that you can get into it. If you're questioning it and you want to do it, do it. You won't regret it. The outdoors it's awesome.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Is with us. Zach is the director of outreach and programming for the North Dakota Voices Network. They're talking about the Build Back Better plan and how it relates to childcare. Some people have some questions of you, Zach, and they want to know what happens to childcare funding after the first 3 years.
Yeah, so there'll be a state match for childcare assistance programs at 10%. And then other programs will be anywhere between 5 and a 50% match.
Okay. So it isn't exactly going to break the state.
No.
It's an investment in the workforce,
Correct.
is what you're telling me. Okay.
Yes.
Another one, Joel, where are this is a really pointed question. Are you ready for this one? It says, where are the child care workers going to come from?
Yeah.
Daycares can't find workers now. And this person is spot on about that.
Right, correct. So Build Back Better will increase pay for child care workers and ensure that professional development opportunities are within reach. So as we know, child care workers are essential and deserve wages that reflect the challenging work of caring for young children. So North Dakota needs a stable child care workforce for parents to return to work. As we know right now, child care workers earn about $24,000 a year if working full-time at the median wage, which is about $11.61. So they're just barely hovering above poverty level for a family of 3. So Build Back Better will improve that for child care workers.
I've been trying to run numbers on childcare, just generic, and somebody's going to call and say, Heitkamp, you're not getting it. But okay, say your childcare, your daycare. In my old days, nanny, babysitter. This is how old I am, Zach. Ignore all those terms. Ready? But say you're paying $1,000 a month for a child, right? So that's $12K a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
$12K a year. How many kids on an average child? Let's use 10. Okay. So take that times 10, and you've got $120,000 for the child care for one child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now take that times 5. Say they got 5, which is very small in relation to everything else. So now I've got $600,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing my math right. I'm trying to figure out why more money can't find its way to the workers. I mean, does that make any sense to anyone out there that somebody's making money on child care? And if the average child care worker is only making $20,000 to $30,000, somebody that all I did here was use 5 kids. 5 kids. And, if out of that $600K, only 30,000 of it is going to one worker, which is probably all you need with 5 kids, right? I mean, Zach, are they going to keep an eye on that? Are they going to make sure? Because to me, when we look at the affordability of it, we have to look at the whole structure of it. And I don't know if that's part of what you're looking at with North Dakota Voices.
Yeah, I mean, Build Back Better is, again, like the childcare policy is going to mean more families will receive support to pay for childcare, right? So once phased in, again, nearly all families will be eligible for assistance, supporting nearly 60,000, if not upwards of 60,000 children in North Dakota. And with Build Back Better, the childcare cap, it caps co-pays at 7%. So again, we're going to save families over upwards of $4,000.
So it's in the family's pocket,
correct,
and then they can invest that money where they so desire.
Yes.
Okay, I get it. Where are we at with the bill passing?
That's a good question.
Okay. I mean, it's obviously not. Joe Manchin said it's not going to happen by the end of the year.
Maybe it will. We'll hope. I mean, let's change things.
Okay.
For North Dakota's families, right?
Yep. We'll see where it goes. Somebody said, please stress, Joel, that if you have your driving lights on, you do not have your tail lights on. So remind people of that. I think this rig I'm driving now, Abby, is that. I think I've got to make sure. I've been doing a good job of just turning. Well, it's old. It's 2011, right?
Yeah, I feel like they just go together though.
But maybe you could run behind me when I drive. We'll see.
Okay.
237-5948, 1-800-880-5346. If you call, you will get through. You know how we're going to finish this show? For the whole last half hour, we're going to make sure we take your calls. We're going to get to these text messages. Individuals saying, Joel, he said you pay for it, they will take it from the rich. Unfortunately, childcare, new Green Deal, all the way they are taking from the rich. How much money before the rich is broke? You know it's a lie. I don't know it's a lie. I don't. I know that the rich, the corporates got a big tax break under the Trump administration. I know that the debt went up immensely under the Trump administration. I know that they're building rockets now, space vehicles. I don't think they're going to go broke.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11. And volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Halverson here with another Don News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
dancing couch potato radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
First off, thank you. If the KFGO table could be a little quiet over here.
Sorry. We're talk show hosts.
Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. Thursday night at Bar 9, and I want to thank Bar 9 for allowing us to come here, give a trigger away. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. They are busting tail here. Standing room only, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So what's about to happen right now, you've all come and registered. Eric Johnson is diligently spinning this golden drum. And I do mean very diligently. And in a moment, I'm going to read a name, and that name needs to be present to win. And if your name's called, I want you to yell very loudly and then come get your tray. All right, you ready? Let's do it. For those of you that can't see, well, my hand is now going into the golden drum. I have pulled one name.
Courtney? Yep.
Courtney? Yeah, you can hear a pin drop. That's great. Courtney Lavonda? Courtney, get on up here. Courtney, there you are. Congratulations. All right. Hey.
Welcome back to the News and Views Radio Network. Abby and I are fighting in the studio again today. Are you coming with tonight? Should we go do this tonight?
Yes, I am coming with.
It's
if you apologize for you not turning on your own mic.
I want to apologize for me not turning on my own mic. And you know why? Because I was wrong and you were right. You're going to save that recording now, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're going to grab that sound.
What time is it? 10:34.
10:34. Okay. Write that down.
Yep. 10:34,
and then I'll
50.
play it over and over and over again.
Joel was wrong. Abby was right.
There. Okay.
Got it.
So, folks, what we're going to be doing tonight in the eastern part, I realize this isn't the whole News and Views Radio Network, but in the Fargo area, just got to do a little plug for the home area here. We're going to be driving around in that motorhome I call the Cruiser. We've got some turkeys, and maybe it's more about us having fun, Abby, than anything else.
It'll be fun.
But we're going to drive around, and we're going to find houses that put all this type of Griswold type work on their homes, and we're going to give them a turkey. Just surprise them.
Yeah.
Give them a turkey. I used to do this at home, and I think we're going to do it again this holiday season. I and a bunch of friends would get together. We went to just this fabulous guy. I didn't know it was his home in Hankinson one time, and just pulled in front of his house, and it was like, man, you can tell they worked hard at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we pull up, and we give him a turkey, and he's like, what's this? We're like, well, we just are out looking at Christmas lights, and this is our way of saying thank you. You know, he goes, this wasn't in the paper. And I went, no, it's not organized.
Just doing it.
It's just a bunch of friends getting together, and he goes, I didn't know anything about this. And I went,
Yep, no,
all right,
it's
this turkey is for you. And it's for you because you're a great guy. And he goes, oh, well, thank you. But he was old school.
It's called a surprise.
But he was old school, where if you do something like that in a community, it's not, the town knows through its local paper or, local radio station or those type of things. That's how they find out. The days of social media notifying you everything are going to be kind of over. But this weekend, like, for example, in Matador, there's been traditions that have happened in my hometown forever, right? At noon, I'll be at the grocery store in Hankinson, and I'll pull up to the back door, and I won't even talk to anybody. I'll just go in the back door, and I'll say, I need the turkeys, right? And they'll, we'll load turkeys up in the back of my pickup. And then I'll drive to Matador. I'll park that in the steps of the fire or the VFW hall, right? The boys will be planning on bringing Santa Claus in, whether it's depending upon the year. If there's snow, they bring them in by snowmobiles. If there's not, they bring them in by four-wheelers or Rangers. If not, and they don't get enough guys, they throw them on the fire truck. But they're going to get Santa Claus there, right?
Yep.
And the people have already worked hard. A number of the ladies, one of the ones that helped for years, this beautiful woman named Joanne Gents, they've got these bags of candy, right? So then Santa Claus comes in, sits down, and every little kid comes up, gets to meet Santa, gets a bag of candy. Now, what I just described isn't exclusive to my hometown of Matador. It isn't. It's all of those little towns out there. They do that. And I just love it. And I love the tradition of it. I love the fact that we get together for the fellowship of it. I love the fact that we get to see each other, no matter who we are, whether we're German, Norwegian, Catholic, Lutheran, Methodist. People don't care. They don't care. We're with our neighbors. We're going to have a beer. We're going to have a pop. We're going to have, we're going to have fun. And that, to me, is one of the great things about holiday season is some of the traditions that go along with it. And one year, I don't know if it was Storming Abbey or what, but we had more turkeys than we had families to give turkeys out to. People were just so generous, right?
Yeah.
They were just so generous. The businesses, everybody threw in. And I think we had like 100 and some pieces of meat, which if you think about the town, and it's by family, right? So you're looking at a town of 100 people. Not everybody comes. I mean, that's a lot to give away, right?
So then you say, hey, thanks for bringing a turkey. Feel free to bring it home.
Yep. And there were people that would come out and look at the weight on the turkey. If the turkey was 11.9 pounds and they found one that was 12.1, they wanted that turkey.
Yeah.
So I remember, he's gone now, but one individual just used to look around and he had to find the biggest turkey. And so, okay, this isn't exactly the holiday spirit and holiday season, right? But hang with me. So I and my buddy, Jay, we've been doing this for years. We stand by the tailgate and we hand out the turkeys, right? Mm-hmm. Now Toad, his boy, is, becoming part of it, which is cool. So that next generation is starting to take over. But JJ used to hide the turkey that he found that weighed the least. And he'd give it to him just to drive him nuts. And then he'd go looking for all the other turkeys.
Oh, no.
That was just Jay's way of making him work for it. You got to work for it, right?
If you want the biggest one, yeah.
And then there was this wonderful person from Weimar named Claude Strage, and Claude's gone to us now too. And he used to bring buckets of herring over. Oh. And, people would fight over that. The herring and the hams. And, oh, God, that bucket of herring, that was huge. That got raffled out. You ever eaten herring?
No.
Would you
as far as I know, I haven't.
Would you know it if you saw it?
Aren't they little? Like
it's chopped up fish. It's not a little fish. You're thinking of.
I know pickled herring is always.
Yeah, no, it's not
in my parents' home.
Right, but that's jars with chopped up fish. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not little. Oh, okay. It's like the stuff that I've seen is like Ritz cracker size kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I think of.
So have you ever eaten that?
I don't think so.
So you're gonna come to the fish house this year and we'll have some herring?
Can we have it outside of the fish house? I just can't imagine what your fish house smells like between the herring, the sausage, the deviled eggs.
Haven't you been to the gas station where they have those little evergreen trees, those green ones? I mean, there's a lot of things that can help along those lines. There are. So, all right, let's get back to work. 237-5948, 1-800-880-5346. Jay, you're on News and Views. Jay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm calling about people who have no moral absolutes because they're moral relativist wimps. And these are the fascists, the Republicans in name-only rhinos, which include Rush Limbaugh and Donald Trump. When you go after Donald Trump for the crimes he's committed, they say, oh, you're just going after Trump for what he did. Well, darn right. Absolutely. They went after Charles Manson for what he did and locked him up until he died in prison.
Thank you, Jay. I believe all of this is worthy of the investigation it's getting. I believe that the committee needed to be bipartisan. I love the fact that the committee's bipartisan. I love the fact that this committee has people of courage that are willing to do what they're doing, which is point out the information that they have so far. I think that Mark Meadows, all these people who think that Mark Meadows just did this, and he got ahead of himself, and now by kind of pleading the fifth and not answering to the subpoena that, that he really does advocate and stick up for the former president. Mark Meadows released this information because he knows how the process works. Mark Meadows knew exactly what Mark Meadows was doing. That was not in any way, shape, or form a mistake that this information went out. He made sure it got out. And you call it butt covering, call it what you want, but he wanted that information out, and that's what happened. I asked Too Tall Tom to come in and spend some extra time with us today because there are so many things going on. Tom, what are you seeing in the weather patterns now? What I heard from you before scared the heck out of me.
Yeah, and my favorite saying is I don't like to weaponize the weather. There's a good promo. How about that? We don't weaponize the weather here, or I'd rather prepare you for it rather than scare you with it. But this is a situation not necessarily in the immediate valley or necessarily in the Dakotas, but for our listeners who are further south and east, southeastern and parts of south central Minnesota, up toward the Twin Cities and back into Iowa, there's a, let's just say, a rather pronounced severe weather threat later on today, better yet into the evening hours. The problem with this is that almost all of it's going to happen after sundown, so people will not see things as much as they would during the day. These storms, once they pop up, are going to be rolling at around 70 to 80 miles per hour. That's a storm speed, not the wind associated with them, which could exceed 80 miles per hour. Maybe even a couple tornadoes with this here and there. This is virtually unheard of at this time of the year up at this latitude. So that's the problem that we have down in southern Minnesota and Iowa. Elsewhere, it's foggy out there, so that's the short-term issue in many areas. We're going to have a little bit of light rain, a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of mixed precipitation, converting to snow from west to east. There will be some pretty good snowfall totals with this system, Joel, up in parts of north-central Minnesota and also into the northeastern part, maybe eastern and northern lakes country. But by and large, up and down the valley, we're looking at as little as a trace to 1 to as much as 2 or 3. So it's not going to be a big snow, but with the rapid fall in temperature and the roads being wet and with some mixed precipitation falling on those roads, sidewalks, parking lots, whatever, and then the temperature just dropping like a rock, therein lies the problem from a slippery travel standpoint. And then you factor in snow, even though it's not going to be much blowing and drifting over that. That's going to be a travel issue beginning at the commute this evening and through tonight. Tomorrow morning, all of it should be gone, but it could still be slippery on the way to work tomorrow morning across the region. And then just much colder temperatures will be around the region all the way through the weekend. Maybe another light snow chance on Friday. So that's how I see it right now.
So, okay, I know this isn't fair to you to do. It's quite a ways out. But as you look into holiday week, what are you seeing?
Well, I can tell you this much. The one thing I can guarantee you is that we won't have any tornadoes or severe thunderstorms. Okay, so I can say that with a great amount of character. We're going to cool down into the weekend. Next week is the week leading right up to Christmas. I see a couple of light snow chances during like the early part of the week, maybe Monday night, Tuesday, and maybe some more toward Christmas Eve, but I don't see any storms right now.
Okay. Well, we heard over the weekend from our news department about somebody falling into, I think it was Ashtabula.
Really?
He said he was sleepwalking, but it doesn't matter. He fell in. They were able to save him. And so some of this cold weather for what some of us like to do outdoors may not be a bad thing. Put a little ice on those lakes.
It's better to have the ice first, then the snow, than the reverse. When you say, as a guy who hangs out on the ice a lot, you probably
last year was brutal that way.
Was it
because we had the snow first,
snow.
and remember that big snow event prior to Christmas, and we didn't have the kind of ice, so there was never a time that I wasn't nervous last year.
Well, I have a lot of friends. I even have some family that love ice fishing, and so they're after me about that. They want some ice-making weather, and I think we're going to get that. We're going to probably be below zero Saturday and Sunday morning in many areas. And up north, it could be 10 to 15 below. So this is good ice-making weather.
I kept thinking after your last report that of those guys that are going to be out there fixing these poles.
Yeah.
Because there's no way with the rain then turning into snow, everything's going to get heavy. And then when you give an 80-mile-an-hour wind, they're going to snap like a toothpick, and there's going to be people out of power. And they're going to get calls from people up north here and say, can you send some guys down with a rig and make it happen? I remember you saying this possibility was going to happen in the southern end of the valley, and the poles snapped almost from the interstate all the way to Fairmount. And the Rosselt area of South Dakota got hit. These guys were out of power for quite a while. The fire department went around in Fairmount, and they had generators in homes. They went and checked on, let's be stereotypical, but the little old ladies to make sure they were gas and how they were doing. And, the communities come together, but it was a tough time.
I would say the southernmost end of the valley, if there is a chance in this immediate vicinity of having icing then on the wires and the high wind causing a problem, it would be the southernmost end of the valley into northern South Dakota. Although I think that the greatest possibility of power outage will be in southern Minnesota with those extremely high winds and those severe thunderstorms. The problem it being near 60 today, and then they're going to need heat later on tonight, tomorrow, and without power, that could be a problem.
So if you were planning on going to the Mall of America to shop, don't.
Or if you're there and listening right now, do it and get out. Okay. I mean, it's not going to really hit there, I don't think, Joel, until 7, 8, or 9 at the latest. Somewhere between 7 and 9 is when I think the Twin Cities area will get hit.
Okay. So what's going on? What's our current conditions?
Yeah, we're looking at temperatures ranging from the 20s up north to already in the 50s in southern Minnesota. Two tallest town of the day leads at 24 degrees, Joel. So I just basically outlined it. Severe weather south, a mix in the middle, and light snow out west, and then turning colder for everybody.
Thanks for what you do, buddy. People trust you, and you don't weaponize the weather. I will give you that.
Try not to.
I said earlier, but there's people that join us all along. When my daughter, who counts on Tom for a lot of this, when she called me this morning and she said, when I read Tom's report, I know he doesn't exaggerate. She said for southern Minnesota, this was scary. And of course, the people have family there.
Here's the thing. If you say every storm is the worst storm that's ever going to hit, then when there's really a storm that's going to hit and you say that, people are going to say, oh, well, there he goes again. They're not going to listen.
Right.
So if I think it's going to be bad, I'll tell you. Otherwise, I'm not going to scare you with it.
And this one's going to be bad.
Down there, it's going to be terrible.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to take your phone calls. Dana, you hang in there. You're the first out of the chute right after this. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. You know, and all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
First off, thank you. If the KFGO table could be a little quiet over here.
Sorry. We're talk show hosts.
Grateful for this turnout. Good Lord, you guys showed up. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. Thursday night at Bar 9, and I want to thank Bar 9 for allowing us to come here, give a trigger away. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. They are busting tail here. Standing room only, so thank you, thank you, thank you. So what's about to happen right now, you've all come and registered. Eric Johnson is diligently spinning this golden drum. And I do mean very diligently. And in a moment, I'm going to read a name, and that name needs to be present to win. And if your name's called, I want you to yell very loudly and then come get your tray. All right, you ready?
Do it.
For those of you that can't see, well, my hand is now going into the golden drum. I have pulled one name.
Courtney?
Yep. Courtney? Yeah, you can hear a pin drop. That's great. Courtney Lavanda? Courtney, get on up here.
Handing out some turkeys tonight there, Abigail, right?
Good night to do it.
Some people are throwing some addresses at us. Thank you for that. If you have some addresses in the Fargo-Moorhead area, we'd be happy to take those. Thank you to Barnesville Grocery for saying, go do this and getting some turkeys to us. That cruiser that's going to be running around, hopefully not on icy roads, is going to be and is sponsored by the North Dakota Farmers Union. It's sponsored by the North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives, Pfeiffer's Auction, Realty and Land Management, Nielsen Brand Law, and Broadband Association of North Dakota. I want to go back to something I said earlier, and I was a zero off because I was doing the math on a student or one child, obviously $1,000 a month. I was being generic about how much they'd pay for daycare times 12. Now we're at 12. So that'd be for a year times if there was 5 kids in the daycare. And, I got to a bigger number. I got to 600,000 versus 60. The number is 60 with 5. So I apologize to those daycares out there. But, not many daycares have 5. I hope we can acknowledge that. So I just, my kids were fortunate enough to have their kids go through in the Wapton area here, or I should say the Fargo area, a local church that, Hope Lutheran down south helped out a lot. I know that. And then they had just a great daycare run by a woman from back home in our home area who just a tremendous job. We went over to some of the programs that they put together. So these folks are professional and they're hardworking and they're good. And we just need to find a way to make it affordable. We do. I'm sorry I took all the time there. Dana, I left you about 30, 40 seconds. Sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
Good morning, Joel. How you doing today?
Doing well.
Okay, and I'm not complaining. I'm just pointing out the reality of this. When they say they're going to take it from the rich aren't going to give up their money. They just raise their prices like they've been doing for the last 11 months. And all it does is backfeed on us to where it makes it harder and harder to live. And the big baby boomers are going to retire. And they're getting our children ready for the load that's coming, because it's going to go from 4-to-1 coverage to 1-to-1 coverage.
Okay. Thanks,
I got
Dana.
better ideas.
Call me tomorrow. I'd be glad to hear it. I'm out of time. I just also want to add this, that, before the big tax breaks during the Trump era, prices weren't blowing up. So let's keep that in mind, number one. Number two, deficits were rising. Good riding with you, folks. We'll talk some more about it tomorrow. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.